Imagine a Navy SEAL, the ultimate modern warrior, facing off against 300 Spartans. Armed with cutting-edge technology, he's up against ancient juggernauts, trained from birth to be unstoppable. Will his advanced weapons and tactics be enough? Or will sheer Spartan discipline and overwhelming numbers crush him? The answer isn't as simple as you might think. The Navy SEAL is built for situations no one else would dare to face. He nails demanding swim, run, and calisthenics benchmarks. Only elites clear these entry gates. But that's just the start. The real test happens at BUDS, or Basic Underwater Demolition/SEAL Training in Coronado, California. This 6-month gauntlet is designed to strip away comfort, confidence, and even hope until only the most resilient candidates are left standing. It's not just about crawling through mud or tying knots underwater, though there's plenty of that. It's about functioning when everything in you wants to quit. Most don't make it. About 70% of candidates ring out, defeated by exhaustion, cold, or the endless grind. The bell is always there, a reminder that quitting is just a few steps away. For those who keep going, the next challenge is Hell Week. Day 15 hits, and suddenly sleep becomes a memory. Over 5.5 days, candidates swim for miles in freezing surf, haul logs as a team, and survive on just 4 hours of sleep. Some collapse on the sand. Others simply freeze, staring ahead, wondering how they'll go on. Marcus Luttrell, who survived Operation Red Wings, described it best. Guys collapsed onto the sand. Others just stood there, too many of them wondering how they could possibly go on. The point isn't just to break bodies. It's to expose minds to the edge, to see who can make decisions while their brains and muscles are shutting down. But the physical grind is only half the story. There's a computerized Special Operations Resilience Test, or CSORT, that puts candidates through simulated chaos, noise, confusion, and pressure, all designed to push their mental limits. The Navy wants to know who can keep their head when the world is falling apart. It's not just about muscle or speed anymore. It's about whether you can stay calm, think clearly, and lead when everything's on the line. Few finish with their mental edge intact, which is why only about 30% make it through BUD-S. Every stage of SEAL training is a filter, removing anyone who can't adapt, endure, or recover. Picture being underwater, racing to untangle a knot as your lungs burn and time slips away, or carrying a telephone pole-sized log up the beach with your team, knowing one mistake could send you home. Those who survive aren't just strong, they're relentless. They've learned to move undetected, improvise under fire, and complete missions no one else can handle. SEALs become lone operators, but they also know how to work in a team when it matters. Their real weapon isn't just a gun, it's the ability to compartmentalize fear, focus on the mission, and turn chaos into opportunity. This mindset is what separates a SEAL from other soldiers. They don't just follow orders, they adapt to whatever comes next. If the plan falls apart, they don't freeze. They find the next move. Whether it's clearing a building at night or sneaking past enemy lines, they're trained to solve problems under pressure. That's what made Marcus Luttrell's survival in Afghanistan possible. After his team was ambushed, he crawled for miles to avoid capture, wounded and alone. Every step, every decision, came from the mental and physical reserves built during BUDS. But can this modern mind hack stand up against generations of Spartan conditioning? The Spartans weren't just tough, they were shaped for war from childhood, drilled to fight as one. SEALs thrive on flexibility and improvisation. But what happens when they meet an enemy defined by unity and discipline? To answer that, we need to look at the Spartan phalanx, a formation so tight and effective that breaking it was almost impossible. The Spartan phalanx was a wall of men and shields, not just a line of fighters. Each soldier locked his shield with the man beside him, spears angled forward, bodies pressed close together. The result was a moving barrier of bronze and wood that turned the unit into a single force. Enemies didn't face lone warriors. They faced a mass that moved and struck as one. The phalanx was the backbone of Spartan power, a system built for defense and offense. But here's a question. What happens when a lone, unarmed warrior tries to punch through? Keeping that wall together took more than muscle. The chaos of battle, shouting, metal clashing, arrows flying, could break most formations. Spartans held their ground because discipline was drilled into them from childhood. At age 7, Spartan boys entered the agoge, a state-run training system that shaped every part of their lives, For 14 years, they learned to obey, endure pain, and depend on each other. The agoge wasn't just about fighting skills. It was about building a mindset where the group always came first. The training was harsh on purpose. Boys got little food, so they learned to steal to survive. If caught, they weren't punished for stealing, but for getting caught, teaching them to be clever and careful. Nights were spent on beds of reeds, no blankets, no comfort. Punishments came fast and often for the smallest mistakes. If someone couldn't handle it, they were out. Only the toughest made it through. By the end, these young men were used to hunger, pain, and cold. They trusted their teammates because they'd survived the same trials together. That trust is what kept the phalanx tight, even under the worst pressure. Spartan weapons fit this system. The main weapon was the dory, an 8-foot shaft of cornel wood with a bronze or iron leaf-shaped head for stabbing, and a sword or spike at the butt end. If the spearhead broke, the spike could still be used to jab or finish a fight. The dory was made for teamwork, long enough to reach past the shield wall, strong enough to hold up in a crush. Every man trained to use it, so the line stayed deadly, even as the battle shifted. When things got close, Spartans used the xiphos, a short iron sword, about 12 to 18 inches. It was built for stabbing in tight spaces, perfect for slipping between shields and armor. The xiphos wasn't fancy, but it was practical. Spartans aimed for weak spots, the throat, groin, under the arms. In the crush of battle, when formations pressed together, this little blade made the difference. But the real key was the shield, the hoplon. It weighed about 30 pounds, made of wood and bronze. It wasn't just for blocking attacks. It could shove, knock down, or even stun an enemy. The way Spartans held the shield meant it protected not just themselves, but the man to their left. The whole formation depended on every man holding his ground. If one broke, the wall opened and the enemy poured in. That's why Spartans trained to stay put, no matter what. The shield was a symbol of the group, not just the individual. This system made Spartans experts at using their environment. At Thermopylae, they turned a narrow pass into a trap, forcing the enemy to attack head-on. The phalanx filled the gap, so numbers didn't matter as much. Even when outnumbered, the Spartans' discipline and teamwork let them hold off huge armies. They weren't just strong, they were smart about how and where they fought. So, if a modern warrior faced this wall, he'd have to deal with more than just shields and spears. He'd be up against a group that moved as one, trusted each other completely, and never broke formation. The Spartan phalanx wasn't just a tactic, it was the result of a lifetime of shared hardship and training. The challenge for any opponent wasn't just getting past the weapons, it was finding a way to break the bond that held the line together. But now, let's flip the scenario. Imagine what happens when modern weapons and tactics come into play. One highly trained SEAL, armed with the latest gear, faces 300 men molded by ancient discipline. Does technology win out, or does teamwork hold the line? Let's break it down. The Navy SEAL isn't stepping onto this battlefield unprepared. He arrives armed with the tools of modern warfare, an arsenal designed to let one warrior outmatch dozens, even hundreds of foes. His primary weapon, perhaps an M4 or HK-416 rifle, delivers pinpoint accuracy at ranges far beyond a Spartan's spear, with 30-round magazines for rapid bursts or precise shots, enhanced by red dot sights or scopes. A Sig Sauer pistol serves as a deadly backup at close range, while grenades obliterate clusters of enemies in an instant. Night vision goggles transform darkness into a hunting ground where Spartans are blind. On paper, this sounds like an overwhelming victory, but there's a twist. Modern weapons have constraints. Ammunition isn't endless, and reloading amid a swarm of enemies poses a challenge. Suppose the SEAL carries 10 rifle magazines, 300 rounds, plus 2 pistol magazines adding 30 shots and 4 grenades. Even with perfect aim, that's insufficient to down 300 Spartans. Each reload moment lets the Spartans close in, and without a supply chain, he's isolated. Once his gear runs dry, he'd rely on scavenged or improvised tools, unless he ends the fight swiftly. Tactically, SEALs thrive on stealth, unpredictability, and adaptability. The Spartan phalanx excels in head-on clashes, absorbing attacks with discipline. The SEAL flips the script, staying mobile, outpacing the Spartans, and striking from unexpected angles. High ground or dense cover lets him pick off targets, while night vision turns darkness into his domain, leaving Spartans disoriented. These edges make him a lethal force on his terms. Yet Spartans are masters of adaptation. At Thermopylae, they turned a narrow pass against the Persians, adjusting their phalanx to hold firm. Against the seal, they might split into agile units to pursue or use terrain to limit his range. Their shields, those massive hoplons, deflect rifle rounds or lessen their impact, protecting crouched warriors from head to knee. Interlocked shields might absorb grenade blasts, keeping the formation intact as they advance with relentless teamwork. Now, picture the clash. The seal opens fire from afar, dropping a dozen Spartans with rifle shots. As they close, shields rise, and he flanks, targeting edges with grenades to disrupt their charge. His speed and tactics keep him ahead, picking off groups while retreating before they can encircle him. Ammo dwindles, but he adapts, using terrain and night to outmaneuver. The Spartans push forward, yet their coordination frays under his relentless precision. The turning point comes at dawn. Low on ammo, the seal lures them into a ravine, planting his last grenades to trigger a landslide. The explosion buries dozens, shattering their formation. With his pistol in hand, he exploits the chaos, taking down the last stragglers. The Spartans, battered and leaderless, falter. His endurance, tech, and tactical brilliance prevail against their numbers, leaving him the last man standing. So, who wins? Individually, the seal's gear and adaptability outshine the Spartans. In this prolonged duel, his strategic mastery and modern tools secure victory. This battle reveals warfare's evolution. Technology and tactics triumph when wielded with unmatched skill, teaching us the power of one against many. A Navy SEAL facing off against 300 Spartans uncovers a deeper truth beyond mere weapons or maneuvers. The SEAL, armed with cutting-edge training and advanced firepower, stretched the boundaries of endurance and ingenuity, ultimately triumphing as his state-of-the-art technology overwhelmed the Spartans' antiquated methods. Yet, confronting a cohesive force like the Spartans, united by years of discipline, trust, and tactics honed in the agoge since childhood, challenged more than just physical prowess. The Spartans' phalanx flourished through shared resolve and indomitable bonds, but the SEAL's superior strategy and stamina, amplified by his modern arsenal, outmatched their numbers. Great warriors aren't shaped by equipment alone. They're forged through unity, resilience, and cunning.
What epic what-if world would you explore next? Share your ideas below. If you loved this video, smash that like button, subscribe for more mind-blowing alternate histories, and hit the bell. Our next adventure drops soon with another game-changing twist. Catch you in another world of the wildest what-ifs.